The Sportsocracy.
The ceiling is the roof. Let's make it happen. Let's keep moving forward.
And welcome back into the Ingles studio on ESPN Asheville. This is the Sportsocracy, and I'm not going to miss any games. Just not paying so much for them.
Yeah, and you'll find a way.
You'll find
a way, because here's the thing. There's too many people like me that look at the in-stadium experience and just go, ugh. Ugh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I
don't want to deal with the parking. I don't want to deal with.
I don't mind the in-game experience, but that's a once a thing. That's a once a year kind of thing for me.
A family of four, it now costs over $700 for you to go to a game.
Mm-hmm.
That's you could pay for YouTube TV's package twice.
They got a strong product and they know it, and they're going to charge for it. And that, my friends, is what capitalism is all about. And I am all for it.
Now, the Detroit Lions, on the other hand, they had a less than strong product, and they charged less than a premium for it. But we'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit.
There's news with my favorite team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Fire them cannons no more. At least not for much longer for one certain player. Devin White has requested a trade from the Bucs, and I cannot say that I blame him at all for this.
Why would you tie yourself to the ship at this point? He's going into a fifth-year option. That I want the deal. I'm not sure you're going to give me the deal because your cap situation is brutal.
I don't want the deal. Not from this team.
I mean, look, you're the Bucs fan, not me.
If I'm Devin White, I want the deal. Obviously, I want as much money as I possibly can and as much long-term security as I can get. I'm not signing up for much more with this team. The way everything is going downhill, Tom Brady having to cut salaries here and there and yon. If you look at the Bucs contract situation right now, you look at the multi-year view. You know how many key players, quote unquote, they have signed past next year?
Not many.
So for the 2025 season,
not many.
It's one key starter. I mean, you're talking Shaq Barrett, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, all of the stars, except for Vita Vea, gone or not on the books after this coming year. I would be trying to get out of Tampa Bay like my hair was on fire. And in Devin White's case, like they're coming after my horses.
Well,
I love the kid. I love the personality. I love his play. He's not great for this scheme.
Horribly miscast in the scheme.
Right. Todd Bowles, look, if you're going to run a cover 2 defense, you cannot have a linebacker who cannot cover.
Which is crazy that he can't cover as freakishly athletic as he is.
No, he doesn't have the knack for it.
Devin White has gotten a much better name than Devin Bush did with the Pittsburgh Steelers. There have been large amounts of his career where he wasn't any better. Just because he's horribly miscast here. And so now the question falls into what could you get for him? Who could possibly be interested? I've seen several people, Gage Camp and Bob Brown in the YouTube comments, that are screaming for the Philadelphia Eagles. That one makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And Gage said send a fifth for White. That's about what you would get.
Really?
I mean, because you're going to have to pay him.
Yeah, that's true.
He's an off-ball linebacker that you're going to have to pay. I'm projecting that the play from 2 years that really pre-Todd Bowles is going to come through. And I'm talking Todd Bowles as the head coach, not just Todd Bowles as the coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're getting much more than that. Now, I think there'd be teams lined up out the building to get him for a 4 or a 5 or somewhere in that neighborhood. And then they would pay him. And in a 4-3 scheme, I think he can be one of the best linebackers in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, he is a Maserati that you're parking in front of a single-wide trailer that's had all of the windows shot out.
Yep.
And that's a mixture of the defense and the team and the coaching staff. It's eroding. And I really don't blame him for asking for a trade here. He's a young guy. The narrative around the league is not as positive with him as it once was. I mean, you got to understand, you're in the NFL. There's a reason we say it's not for long. He has another year like he had last year. I don't know that deal's coming.
Right.
This is self-preservation. That's why he's asking for this trade now. Get me, as I'm going into a contract year, get me to a place that I can show I am still that guy so I can get my big chunk of the pie Because as we talked about with wide receivers, you don't see a lot of them that are in their 30s. You don't see a ton of linebackers that are in their 30s either, especially when those guys are in the league because of how freakishly athletic they are.
Mm-hmm.
That just doesn't tend to age well.
The question becomes, what can you get for him? And, Tampa doesn't want to deal him.
No, but I don't think it's a choice.
And is this going to – here's the thing. Tampa doesn't want to deal him. And I don't believe, knowing what I know of Devin and being like my favorite player on my favorite team, he's not the kind of guy that's going to sit out and be a problem in the locker room.
No.
If he doesn't get the trade, he'll be upset. But to me, is it worth it? Is it worth it to send him away for a 4 or a 5? Best case scenario, maybe you find yourself in a bidding war with 3 teams, and maybe you can get a 3 out of the deal.
I doubt it.
I know that's pushing it, but is it worth it to send him away or and get that draft pick back? Is it
We're
worth
going to
it
get that draft pick 2 years from now,
rather than having him just leave for nothing?
Well, I thought you were talking about,
year.
I thought you were talking about the compensation formula. If you let him walk, you're probably going to get a 4 or a 5 in terms of comp formula. That's if you don't splurge in free agency. You don't have a ton of money. As you stated, next year you've got a bunch of guys that you're going to have to make decisions on. And I just don't see where it's in the budget. And I've said this time and time again. Smart teams like the Philadelphia Eagles, the Baltimore Ravens, they swoop into these situations and go, yeah, well, here, you take this 5, and we are going to control the contract, and we're going to show for the umpteenth time that in the NFL, the salary cap doesn't matter if you do it correctly.
Right.
The problem with Tampa Bay is they haven't done it correctly. Right now, one of your highest paid players is Tom Brady, who's sitting on a beach somewhere. And that's what happens is when you go all in, you get to this point, and yeah, there's going to be some collateral damage, and I wager Devin White's probably going to be one of those.
Mm-hmm.
I sent a couple texts around the league of, is there actual legitimate traction here? And what I got back from both people was there are 4 really high caliber linebackers in this class. When those guys come off the board, if one of these teams that really needs one has missed, don't be shocked if it does get into that 3 territory of – you remember when Trent Williams got traded for the first pick in the 3rd day?
Yep.
It's because San Francisco missed on every offensive tackle that they thought could play a tree in a child's play. So they went, okay, if you'll take this, we'll give him the money.
Mm-hmm.
And they did, and it's worked out phenomenally. That's exactly how this could go here.
Yeah.
You see the Jack Campbells, the Trenton Simpsons, Drew Sanders to a lesser point. You see those guys come off the board, Deion Henley, and then whichever team is left holding their little trick-or-treat bag, and they call Tampa Bay and go, we'll give you a 4, we'll give you a 3. And he winds up in a different place.
Yeah, the other question to me is the money here, and again, it's not a prime position. He doesn't play that need to have, gotta have cornerstone position, and am I going to put $15-17 million into him?
Well, and that's what he's looking at. This is not him being selfish or anything like that. This is him looking at, okay, if I have another season like I had last year, I'm looking at a short-term 2-3-year deal, maybe even a 1-year prove-it deal somewhere else at $10 to $12 million, or I can go to a place that I actually fit in, and I could be looking at a 4 or 5-year deal at 15, 16, 17, some odd $1 million. I mean, any idiot that has self-preservation in their heart is going to look at this and go, it is better for me to get out of here, especially when you factor in that the offense could be putting the defense in worse positions. That means he's going to have to cover more. I really don't see a way that Devin White plays another snap for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
One of the quotes in the story today was that he is, quote, fed up with this team. And I can't blame him.
I can't either, because he's wanting to be taken care of, and they're just not in a position to do that.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those we part as friends, and I'll come back and celebrate the Super Bowl trophies 20 years from now, and he'll have a really good second act somewhere else.
Yep.
He's a great player. He's just very poorly miscast.
You're in the Sportsocracy, and this is ESPN Asheville. When we come back, we'll get just a bit outside, and there is a corner on the move in the NFC. The Atlanta Falcons adding to the defense.